So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation board meeting. My name is Farid Amin, and I have the distinct privilege of chairing this committee. Today is Tuesday, April the 29th, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the board of directors meeting. Those of you who are joining us, staff and the members of the board, welcome. And we have quite a few people who are also online. So let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you to our board meeting. I'd also like to welcome Denise Campbell, our newest member to the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation board. Denise, it's good to have you. Denise is the incoming Deputy City Manager of Community Development and Social Services and has been appointed as the Deputy City as the City Manager designate, not even the DCM designate, because you are the DCM. So Denise, welcome, and it's great to have you. I also want to welcome Councillor Matlow. Councillor Matlow is a member of our committee, and Councillor, it's great to see you, and we look forward to your continued engagement and your expertise as we navigate some of the complexities around the administration of the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation. So welcome. I also want to welcome Deanna Veltri. Deanna is also a new addition to the team. She is our new communications director, and Tom will provide a more fulsome introduction of Deanna perhaps in his remarks. So Deanna, welcome. Good to have you on board, and thanks for joining the staff of the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation. Today's agenda, we've got quite a few report backs from our different committee. We will hear from our Audit, Finance and Risk Committee. Tom will also provide us with an update on where we are on the 2024 annual report and also some of the considerations as part of our TSHC annual general meeting. And we'll also go through and approve, hopefully, our 2024 audited financial statements. We also have an in-camera session today, and we have a couple of deputations, which I will invite at the appropriate time. Let me proceed now with the Land and African Ancestral Acknowledgement. Toronto Seniors Housing acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto is home to a vast diversity of First Nations, Inuit and Métis, who enrich this city. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by the Dish and One Spoon Wampum Treaty between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe nations, the Two-Row Wampum Treaty between the Haudenosaunee and the Dutch, as well as the Treaty 13 and the Williams Treaties involving the Anishinaabe and the Crown. Toronto Seniors Housing is committed to reconciliation. We honor the land through our communities and programs that reflect and respect its heritage. Our land acknowledgement marks a small but key step in the process of reconciliation and building a positive relationship with Indigenous peoples. Now, for the African Ancestral Acknowledgement, Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation acknowledges the racism and injustices faced by individuals who were brought to this land involuntarily, particularly those affected by the transatlantic slave trade. We acknowledge the experience of Black peoples who arrived in Canada seeking a better life following the abolition of slavery by the British in 1834, while also recognizing the structural, systemic, and individual racism that he encountered, which continues to persist today. This racism culminated in the tragic destruction of Africaville, which was once the largest settlement of Black community in Canada. Toronto Seniors Housing is committed to recognizing all forms of racism, especially anti-Black racism, and is actively working to combat these injustices. We will now proceed to item number 3, which is new business and approval of the public meeting agenda. The agenda was circulated as part of the Board of Directors package. Are there any amendments or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, may I have that someone move that the April 29th, 2025 public board meeting agenda be approved as presented? Moved by Linda, seconded by Jim. All in favor? That is approved. Would all in favor be it resolved that the April 29th, 2025 board public meeting agenda is approved as presented? We'll now proceed to item number 4, which is a declaration of conflict of interest. Is there any conflict of interest? Seeing none, if something were to arise during the course of the meeting, you can identify it and we'll deal with it at that time. We'll now move to item number 5, which is the approval of the public session board minutes of April 3rd, 2025. Are there any amendments to the board public session minutes of April 3rd, 2025? Seeing none, may I have someone move that April 3rd, 2025 public session minutes be approved as presented? Moved by Jim, seconded by Brenda. All in favor? That is approved. With all in favor, be it resolved that April 3rd, 2025 board public session minutes are approved as presented. We will now proceed to the approval of the board closed session minutes of April 3rd, 2025. Are there any amendments to the board closed session minutes of April 3rd, 2025? Seeing none, may I ask that someone move that the April 3rd, 2025 closed session minutes be approved as presented? Councillor Crisanti moved, seconded by Linda. All in favor? That is approved. With all in favor, be it resolved that April 3rd, 2025 board closed session minutes as presented are approved. We will now move to item number 7, which is the action item review. The action item review list was circulated as well. Are there any questions, any concerns, any issue that anyone wants to raise as part of that action item list? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move on to item number 8, which is the CEO update. Mr. Hunter, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Fareed, and through the chair to the board. I would just like to start my update by introducing Deanna Veltri to the board. Fareed mentioned Deanna's arrival in his opening comments, but just wanted to say that we're very excited to have Deanna as part of in addition to our leadership team, in that capacity of Director of Engagement, Partnerships, and Communication. Deanna has a wealth of experience, a fresh, energetic perspective to our work and advancing kind of our strategic goals and employee enablers. And also, she's has experience at Toronto Community Housing and also was involved in some of the work following out of the Tenants First. So really has some history and perspective on housing, but also in her more recent roles as a senior management in consulting and focused on housing at both and affordable housing at both the municipal, provincial, national, international level. She will bring, I think, that expertise and context to our work as well. So we're very delighted to have Deanna with us and here today for her first board meeting. And also just wanted to mention that we have with us today Joanna Krasek. She's the manager of service manager compliance. And she is here covering for Brad Priggin, our director of operations, who is who is away. So Joanna, welcome. And then just once again, for those of you who may have come on late, introducing Andrea Austin, the director strategy, policy, and program. She is part of Denise's leadership team. We know her right from the start of our corporation when she was in this role. I guess it was Paul Johnson at that time, right? And then Paul Raftis. So Andrea, welcome back. I then wanted just to provide an update to the board on the Economic and Community Development Committee. This was a request from an earlier meeting of the board to provide an update at today's session. And as you recall, this work was initiated following the ECDC's October directive to the Deputy City Manager to explore how city programs and services could address gaps for the services for the tenants in our buildings. And so the Social Services and Long-Term Care Division took the lead on this, and they presented their findings to the ECDC on April 8th, and hence I am sharing the information for that today. And I think it's really important that there was crucial data that Toronto Seniors Housing was able to provide from the work that we have done from our tenant engagement to help to inform where some of these other city divisions could be assistance and support our seniors. And just want to quickly summarize some of those areas. And one is with Toronto Public Health. And they will be delivering multilingual health education activities in 6 to 8 of our buildings this year. And so that was a request that we had received from our tenants as a priority area for health topics in some of our buildings. So Toronto Public Health will be helping out there. Also with parks and recreation, they're going to be piloting 3 fitness sites in our buildings. And I think also importantly, the recreation, parks and rec staff will be actively engaging with our tenants and staff to raise awareness in the broader, what other broader recreational opportunities are there in the community. And then also with Toronto Paramedic Services, that need to address accessible medical services, and they'll be exploring the feasibility of wellness clinics. They are in a couple of our buildings, so they would be looking to expand that service. So that's exciting as well. As we know, the Toronto Public Library has a presence in our buildings and supporting our tenants in a digital literacy, and they will be looking at 8 more sites for 2025. And Toronto Fire Services is another area where this we know is a top priority, and they are going to look at education and programming, primarily on education across all of our buildings, and they have requested for 2 or 4 of our buildings to have more extensive events, and we are working with them on the possibilities and how we want to roll that out. With Toronto Police Services, much the same, education in buildings across the portfolio. And really that's just help for awareness and how to contact and make that contact. And then just finally, Technology Services Divisions, they would be supporting Toronto Seniors Housing and the Toronto Public Library to help implement Wi-Fi in some of the common areas. Actually, it's going to be 8 this year for 2025. So we're really pleased to hear about these different ways that they're currently supporting, where they can look to expand, and then what are the opportunities for our tenants to reach out into the community. And then just my final update for today relates to the strategy planning session that we're looking forward to organizing with the board. I think Karen's going to be putting out a doodle poll for 2 early dates in June, and really for that session with the board, looking at that time together around planning for our strategic plan, the kind of more focused work on the agreements between Toronto Seniors Housing and Toronto Community Housing, and also delving into things like innovation at TSHC. What could that look like moving forward? So looking forward, we're right now in the process of getting that date and then planning for those sessions. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I think it is great to see that kind of collaboration across the departments and the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation. I mean, this is one city, and as you know, it's one corporation, and I think we need to find ways to better deliver services from those other entities. So it's great to see Toronto Parks and Rec, EMS, Fire, the technology, and
Yes.
others involved in this space. That's great work, and thank you very much. I'm glad also to see that this strategic planning session is being contemplated. I think that will provide us with a good opportunity to sit down and think beyond the here and the now. Brenda and then Jim. Go ahead, Brenda.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to know, how often will you be meeting with this group? Is it like a quarterly thing, semi-annually?
Through the chair to Brenda. I'll start. I don't know whether Deanna has any kind of further insight at that time, but I know up to kind of the preparation of that report, it was like monthly that they were coming together to kind of understand what are our priorities of sharing the data and kind of mapping out what they would be able to do. So I am not certain, Brenda, how often now they will continue to meet, but there is there is a meeting with the senior services and long-term care in the strategy work that they do. So there could be the opportunity. I mean, and to make sure that we are connected in that way. I just don't know specifically about the timing of that. But and Deanna, I don't know whether that's a fair to ask of you at this point.
You can, Tom. Thankfully, this is one of the things I do know. Through you, Mr. Chair. In terms of the approach we're taking, there's a couple streams since we're working with a number of different partners. We had an initial meeting with the seniors team to think about how we want to stay connected, and we've essentially implemented a cascade of conversations over about monthly when you think about each of the various programs to work together on implementing. Our first one with Parks and Recreation is next Friday. So just to give you an example, some of the work is just happening on the ground, and then we've also got about monthly meetings across the various agencies to keep the progress.
So monthly meetings individually or collectively with all of the city agencies responding?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Brenda, good question, and nice to meet you.
Yes.
It'll vary by initiative. So
Okay.
Some, as Tom mentioned, are larger in scale, involving multiple buildings versus a smaller handful of buildings. So it will vary by program. I would say it's averaging about monthly. I'll know more as we have some of those first meetings, Brenda, to really be sure about what the timing is. But the process has started.
My only comment is for accountability. I don't know whether were they responding to the economic committee or was it another committee? I'm not fixed on how often our frequency. I don't mean for people to meet for the sake of meeting, but I think public accountability is important. So if they are asked quarterly, say, to respond to a committee as to what work they are doing, something along that line of accountability is what I'm looking for. And my last question was just technical. Tom, you mentioned in a couple cases, for example, public health is looking to do something in 6 to 8 buildings. Is that on top of the existing buildings they have been participating in, or these are new 6 to 8 buildings?
Through the chair to Brenda, these ones would probably, in the case of Toronto Public Health, be new buildings, right? So
Okay.
yeah. But also though, like for something like the Toronto Public Library, they come into each building for like 6
Yes.
to 8 months, and then they move on to a different one. So they keep moving on. So they're not kind of permanently there. There is
No, I understand. Yeah.
some of this work, whereas the rec programs might be continuous. Yeah.
So I would suggest amongst ourselves that we have some priority or some goal we're working towards. And I'm
Yes.
concerned particularly about Parks and Rec. And I think I've experienced with them in the past where they will do off-site programming. And I think, for each quadrant, I can see, frankly, Parks and Rec could be putting programs in any number of our buildings in each one of our regional quadrants, right? So I think if we have a goal that we're working towards, I think that's something we should try to do. And then in turn, that would then lead our direction and request to Parks and Recreation as an example. So, and similarly with public health and the paramedics in terms of, I know paramedics have come into buildings and done testing. I think we should also have a goal there. What are we looking for? Are we looking for presence in, 20 of our buildings and et cetera, et cetera. So I would like, as you engage in your conversation and discussion, that we have in mind what is it we are wanting, what is it we're working towards, and then that will help guide and shape our discussions. Thank you.
Tom, do you want to respond quickly?
Yes, I will. Yes, through the chair to Brenda. Just wanted, I think it's important to stress that it's the tenants who are driving those programs, the priority programs, right? So we asked them at the beginning of 2024. So we have priority 1 and 2. So we're looking at those buildings for something like rec where it was identified as a priority. Thanks.
And keep in mind that people
Thanks,
don't know what they. Keep in mind, people don't know what they don't know, so they may not be requesting.
That's true.
I'd like.
Yes.
I would like to have. They may not know Parks and Rec can come into the community, right? So I think there's a role of leadership here for us. It's not just deferring to what the tenants are saying, and similarly with things like the paramedics, they may not know that they can do something offsite in the community. So I think we should provide some leadership there, not just defer only to the tenant requests.
Okay, thanks. I've got to move on to Jim. Go ahead, Jim.
Yep.
My comment's just a bit of a backtrack to the Indigenous Ancestral Lands Acknowledgement and the Black History acknowledgements. I really appreciate the expanded version
Yeah.
of those acknowledgements. It adds the context that's really valuable.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. It's great. I mean, I think it's much more impactful and much more meaningful. And as the chair of the Quality Tenant and Engagement Committee always reminds us, it's not just the recitation of the words, it's reflection and thinking about what each one of us can do individually to try and make things better and get involved in that act of reconciliation and re-engagement. So thanks for that. Appreciate it. Any other comments on Tom's report? Okay, if not, we'll move on. And speaking about the chair of the Quality Tenant and Engagement Committee, I'll invite Linda.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I think Councillor Crisanti raised his hand. Did you, Councillor Crisanti?
My apologies, Councillor. Go ahead.
No, no problem. I guess I didn't raise it high enough. No, thank you. Thank you, Tom, and thank you for the update as always. Just curious about the agreement. You did mention that in your comments. Where are we at? Any update as to how it's progressing, timelines, any details along those lines?
Yes, through the chair to the councillor, we do in camera. We are having a special, well, not as a special, but just an update on the agreements. So later in the meeting,
It's coming. Okay,
yes.
Good.
Yeah,
that was it here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks, Karen. I appreciate the help. I don't always see the hands on the screen, so appreciate your support.
You're welcome.
All right, so Madam Chair, over to you.
Oops, sorry, I was just trying to unmute myself. I believe that we have a deputation, but maybe I could just do a brief, is that for this item?
Yes.
So,
Yeah,
but just briefly, do you want to do that first, or I have a very brief update from our meeting?
No, do your update, and then we'll do the deputation.
Okay, perfect. So it's nice to see everybody. The last time the quality, and nice to meet you, Deanna. I look forward to working with you and with everyone on the screen. We had our last meeting on March 24th, and it was a meeting that we looked at some of the content that we are regularly accountable for reviewing. Our very detailed operational dashboard, the communication strategy and communication update, and for the first time we had a report from the Community Safety Unit report. I have to say that I'm very pleased with the amount of dialogue that we have at these meetings. I'm looking at Councillor Christianti, who often asks us to push ourselves in terms of the vacancy. So we're beating targets on our operational, and I think the board and the committee is really pushing to see, is there anything more that we can do, considering the state of homelessness and need for housing, affordable housing in Toronto. So that was really good conversation. We will be having updated meetings from the community safety. It was a first report, and I think the committee is looking for a little bit more substance in terms of actually an understanding of that, and we'll be bringing that back. We don't have any items to bring forward from the Quality and Tenant Committee engagement meeting, but so I will pass it back over to you, Fareed.
Thanks a lot, Linda. I appreciate it, and thanks for all the work that you and our colleagues do on the Quality and Tenant Engagement Committee. So thank you. Thanks again. We now have a deputation, and I'd like to welcome Mr. Margoli. Before we begin, I've got a few comments I want to make. And this is overall some of the operating procedures governing deputants who appear before this committee. So as the board and as the public knows, deputations are a way of people to speak at a board or committee of the board about a specific subject on the public agenda. Deputations, as many of you know, are timed at 5 minutes and need to pertain to matters within the board jurisdiction. Those deputing also are strongly encouraged only to speak on the subject for which they have received approval. All of us should obey the rules of procedure and any decision of the board or committee chair. We should, as always, refrain from using offensive and disrespectful language. We should also respect each other as we conduct our affairs and as we depute. And pursuant to the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation Bylaw 1/2021, Section 4.19, subsection 1B, Personal matters about an identifiable individual, including a city employee or a corporation employee, cannot be disclosed in a TSHC public meeting or in a meeting of the committee of the board. The board chair can conclude or end the deputation if these rules are not followed. So, Mr. Margolin, it's good to see you. You and I have had some comments and discussions in the past, so I now invite you to make your deputation to the board.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. And I didn't expect such a lengthy introduction because indeed I already participated once and didn't violate your rules, I hope. So I just wanted to remind you, at the previous QTech committee on February 10, I raised an issue that my unit at 4455 Butler Street was subject to fumigation of various chemicals from the above unit. The above unit was illegally modified, making it possible to fumigate my unit with various chemicals every night. The modification included variations to the water piping system and also drilling multiple holes through the concrete slab separating our units. So unfortunately, over the last 3 months, just about nothing changed. I don't know if anything was actually done. I'm not aware of this, but I do know for sure that nothing changed in what was happening in my unit. My unit every night continued to be fumigated with chemicals from the above unit, and the tenant of the above unit is very persistent in doing it. Obviously, she is motivated heavily with money to do it. I also requested TSHC to conduct independent audit of the above unit because they are the owners of the building, and unfortunately, so far I'm unclear when or whether it's going to be done. So, with this in mind, I wanted the board to arrange an independent investigator to look into what is going on in our building and in my unit, including professional inspection of the unit according to the procedures that I described in the written part of the deputation. I'm suggesting you to carefully read the written part. It's very interesting for every member of the board to it's a refreshing information compared to, the victorious reports that usually we can hear during the board meetings. So additional part of it is that the building staff started fumigating hallways in our building, I believe, with insecticides and chemicals. Insecticides are illegally procured, I believe, from the company Terminex. This is a kind of, as I noted, this periodically stops after each visit of the Toronto Police or Toronto Fire Department in the building during nighttime. And then it restores within the few days. And by the way, today I went to the hallway and suddenly, even during the daytime, there is a fumigation at a lower level of our hallways with the common ventilation system. So this is kind of a reality check. So what I'm asking is, because obviously the traditional subject to investigate such issues is the regional office. Northwest Regional Office in my case. Unfortunately, a year and a half ago, the manager of this office prohibited investigation of this matter whatsoever. And as a result,
yeah, we got to be careful, Mr. Margolin, that we're not identifying individuals in this conversation. It's and that pertains to not only by name but also by title, because it's not difficult to identify someone if you are that specific. So I would kindly ask you to refrain from identifying individuals, and if we can proceed, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
We have to
We're just requesting to unmute.
okay. So I'm kindly asking the leadership of this corporation not to go through the traditional channel of the regional office, but to hire a private professional investigator who would also engage a professional plumber and a professional engineer to inspect the unit above mine. So this is, I don't believe that going through the channel of the regional office is going to produce any changes in this acute case, including it will not result in improved safety of 400 tenants living in our building. Only independent investigation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate your deputing before the committee, and also appreciate your written submission. Are there any questions for the deputant from the committee? Hearing none. Once again, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate your engagement, and we've got your written submission, and we've heard you loud and clear, and we will provide you with the appropriate response. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right, so we'll now move to item number 10, which is a report from the Audit, Finance and Risk Committee. And I'll invite the chair of that committee, Mr. D'Souza, to provide us with his report. Lawrence, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Last Audit, Finance and Risk Committee meeting on April 9th, we discussed procurement report, procurement change order, 2024 financial results, 2024 operating surplus settlement, and KPMG's 2024 financial statements audit findings report. Most of these items are on today's agenda for approval. That concludes my report. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And as the chair mentioned, we did have a very robust conversation at the Audit, Finance and Risk Committee, recognizing that there were some members who were present today who may not have been at that meeting. So Vince, I don't know if you've got any update or any comments, or if you want to amplify any of the recommendations in the procurement change order report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through the chair itself. The first item is on the procurement change order. Attached on that as well, you will see the detailed descriptions of the change order of $41,613, and that would also take place until April 2026. I take any question now if there's any question to be asked at this point.
Are there any question on the procurement change orders? Okay. Seeing none, may I ask someone to move that the Board of Directors adopt the following resolutions? Approve the following change order for which the cumulative change order for direct awards value exceeds 20% of the original commitment value of the contract. Kalian Cyber Solutions Limited, formerly iSecurity, maintenance of TSHC website server and support services contract extension to April the 30th, 2026 in the amount of $41,463. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Jim, seconded by Brenda. All in favor? That is approved. Okay, we'll now move on to item number 10B, which is a 2024 operating surplus settlement. Vince, over to you again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And for the second item for approval, this is the 2024 TSHC operating surplus. We're seeking approval for the release of $5.224 million to TSHC as a result of the 2024 surplus. In the previous 2 years, 2022 and 2023, TSHC surplus and deficit were absorbed by TSHC, and this is a continuation. And in discussions with TSHC and the city for the 2024, along with the 2025 just projected surplus deficit, as well. So any time that we have any significant amount over $500,000 for budgeted, we would need the board to approve, and therefore this item has been brought up for approval.
Okay, thank you, Vince. Any comments, any questions? It's always good to approve operating surpluses. Brenda, go ahead.
Sorry. The operating surplus is 2024. Is that the calendar year or does it go into, I can't remember if you do fiscal year. That's January to December.
Through the chair, that's January to December
Right,
2024,
fine.
correct?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Brenda. Any other comments? Any other questions for Vince on the 2024 operating surplus? All right, if not, I need a motion. May I ask someone to move that the Board of Directors approve the following resolution? Adopted the 2024 TSHC operating surplus settlement with TSHC in the amount of $5,224,955 as outlined. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Linda, seconded by Brenda. All in favor? That is approved. And our final item on this bundle of financial update is item number 10C, which is a 2024 KPMG audit. Vince, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Lawrence mentioned earlier, KPMG did a presentation of the 2024 audit finding. You will see that in attachment 1, along with the management representation letter, which is the attachment 2, along with the 2024 audited financial statements of TSHC. These 3 items are being seeking for approval from the board, and it's right now presented in front of you. And if you have any questions, I will take them now.
Any questions from committee members on the 2024 KPMG audit? Seeing none, I also need a motion to approve this item. So I need a motion that the Board of Directors approve the following resolutions. 1, approve the approval of the 2024 TSHC audited financial statements and 2024 audit findings report. Number 2, authorize the Chief Executive Officer to sign the management representation letter. Moved by Brenda, seconded by Councillor Crisanti. All in favor? That is approved. All right, so we'll now go to item number 11, which is the Corporate Governance and Human Resources Committee report. We have our third hardworking chair, Councillor Crisanti. Over to you, Councillor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. So at the March 19th meeting, the Toronto Seniors Housing Governance Committee, we discussed the 25 work plan. And we also discussed the People and Culture dashboard. We talked about the TSHC policy work plan update, as well as the 2024 annual report. We concluded with the inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility strategy. And the IDEA strategy was approved at our April 3rd, 25 meeting for Toronto Seniors Housing Board of Directors meeting that we had at that time. So, and today we're bringing the TSHC 24 annual report for approval as well. That's the update, Chair, and that's what I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And speaking about the 2024 annual report, we have Bill Lohman. Bill, welcome. Always good to see you and always good to hear from you. Bill, you would like to depute on this item, so I invite you to offer the committee and the public your comments. Over to you, sir. Mute. I can't hear you. Karen, I don't know if you can request that Bill's mic be unmuted. Give us a second, Bill.
We're trying. We're just going to let this in. Yes.
Hey, bear with us, Bill. We're having some technical challenges.
Mr. Lohman, we see you as 2 I'm not sure if you have called in, but your mute button is on and we can't hear you. If you can nod whether you have called in as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
I'm gonna try to close out of this.
and now we can hear. We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
My apologies. Good afternoon, Chairman Amin, Mr. Hunter, and members of the board. I'm still causing an echo here, aren't I? All right. I'm going to leave. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, my apologies. Good afternoon, Chairman Amin, Mr. Hunter, members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on item 11 and the Toronto Seniors Housing Annual Report. Once again, I just have to applaud the amount of work that has been done this past year. It's just been amazing. And the focus has been turning from the brick and mortar aspects of the seniors housing, and as the community the CC Plus is starting to unfold as it has been over the past year. There is just an amazing amount of good work that's being seen in the different buildings. I was recently at our regional meeting, and there were twice as many tenant leaders there as last year. And so, I mean, this is a great sign. I think sometimes there are questions about how things land on the ground or are seen from the ground level, and that there's and I hope that in this in the new year of the fourth year of Toronto Seniors Housing, that the focus can be a little turned a little bit more towards how things are unfolding at the ground level, because there's many good things that are happening, and there are some things that tenants have questions about that they don't feel that they're getting answers to. So I think that that we are at a real exciting point. And like to welcome Deanna, the new director for the engagement programs and communication. Looking forward to working with her to include a seniors lens in in the work that's going forward. So I'm not going to waste any more of the time. I just I just think it's very important that as we go forward, that there continues to be that the focus on the needs of seniors, and that seniors have agency in their communities, and that they are having a voice, and feel that they're having a voice in their communities as these Community Connect Plus supports programs and are coming to coming into their communities. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, Bill. Always appreciate your sage comments and good advice. And it's good to see that we're sort of focusing beyond the bricks and mortar, because I think at the end of the day, we want to create communities and buildings where seniors can age in dignity and in grace. And the services we provide to these individuals, I guess, are paramount in our mind. The bricks and mortar is a means to an end. So thanks for your comments, and thanks for always keeping us honest and accountable. All right, so are there any questions for Mr. Lohman before we proceed? Okay, seeing none, I'll now hand you over to Deanna. This is your inauguration. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is, Fareed. I'm very excited. And through you, I am very pleased to be here today. And it's great to see you all and join the organization. One small comment about me, Tom gave such a kind introduction. I really am thrilled to rejoin Toronto's social housing ecosystem, no less at an organization like TSHC. As Tom mentioned, in many ways, it feels like I'm returning home after a number of years at Toronto Community Housing Corporation in a range of roles, which started with, at the time, the Mayor's Task Force that ultimately culminated in the Tenants First report that led us all here today. So I'm very excited to be back and come back with, thanks to my time in public sector consulting, where I've learned and collaborated with some really bright minds. I hope to bring some of my knowledge, expertise from social housing and social service organizations across Canada and the globe. I had the privilege of learning a lot, and I'm excited to work with all of you in the team to continue the wonderful work that's been done. So through you, Mr. Chair, I'm pleased today to present to you for approval the 2024 TSHC annual report. As Bill so kindly said, this really is the culmination of important work by staff, leaders, and tenants of the organization. And I'm lucky that I get to, as part of my inauguration, as you said, to be able to bring this information forward to all of you. And I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has contributed to this wonderful document. I was particularly pleased and loved reading the direct quotes from tenants, where we were able to, for example, hear about all the amazing things that are happening on the ground and learned about opportunities to continue to do more. So thank you to all those who have supported us to get here to present this wonderful document. And selfishly, it's been a great time for me as well, as this report really gives me a clear and compelling view of the work done by the organization last year, which is significant and notable from my perspective. And I hope you take that away from the report as well. Almost 3 years in, TSHC has undergone significant growth and evolution. And if I take us even further back, from a recommendation in the Tenants First report to the fully realized corporation we see today that has made significant strides in our integrated service delivery vision. 2024 really feels like, and I hope you took this from the report, like many of the seeds planted early on in this journey have bloomed and are beginning to bloom as we think about some of the work that has been done. And we've made some really important progress against our strategic directions and organizational enablers. I'll spend a moment, I won't go too long, to tell you about some of those or highlight some of the key information from the annual report that I hope signals much of the success that happened in 2024 and what that has set us up for in the year ahead, where much more progress is on target to be made, and that is our goal as an organization. So in terms of our strategic direction, excellent landlord, as Tom mentioned, we have reported back to the city in October of last year through committee on the integrated service model with positive reception. And as you heard as part of the CEO comments, significant progress has begun to be made with city staff to continue the work that was presented in April or earlier this month to the ECDC committee on ways we can continue to deepen our partnerships and do more of that work. So I'm very excited to say that that work has continued and has begun to move forward in this next phase of our journey. We've progressively increased our occupancy rate to over 98%, maintained low arrears levels, and you will see in the annual report, we have ramped up our environmental health services to tenants, really leaning into increasing the number of treatments where required, but also supporting education and training of staff on that journey. We're also working to evolve our services, working with tenants and listening to them about areas we can create improvement. And that manifested in many ways. Over 70 regional town halls were held in 2024, where we heard from tenants directly on some of those opportunities and needs. And we've also seen the implementation of 3 teams focused on keeping tenants housed in safe, affordable, and clean housing in the areas, again, of environmental health, eviction prevention, and others. I would say that the tenant experience survey, which is summarized in the report, also provides a strong indicator of progress, with most of those core indicators reaching the 80% satisfaction or perception of satisfaction from those who filled out the survey, which is an excellent result, and also identified for us areas where we can continue to grow and continue to innovate and support our tenants, which I will speak about with the remainder of my comments. In terms of tenant engagement, of course, the implementation of the Community Connect Plus program and the Community Activities Fund that is a component of that has helped drive our engagement, I would say, to the next level with TSHC tenants. Along with the continued engagement of groups like STAC, the Senior Tenants Advisory Committee, and the Community Connect Plus implementation table, we also saw an 136% increase in tenant volunteers compared to 2023, and the creation of 58 tenant circles, with membership in those circles continuing to grow, which is very exciting. As we've seen already in 2025, we already have more tenant volunteers signed up this year, almost double what we had signed up and participating last year. So really exciting growth for us as an organization. This degree of tenant involvement and creating these forums where we've been able to work directly with tenants on the needs in their community produced excellent results. These forums and groups helped us to support the delivery of 206 tenant-led events and 175 agency-led activities in communities, which was a 78% year-over-year increase. With the help of $240,000 in community action funding, we were really able to see a number of activities and small equipment purchases made in communities across the portfolio. If I recall, 85% of communities within TSHC participated in a CAF event or put in an application that was seen through. So really exciting work in tenant engagement, and I appreciate Bill's comments during his deputation. I'm excited to work with him and others as well to continue that momentum and keep up the work on tenant engagement. 2024 was a real milestone year. In the realm of partnerships, we all know that working with community health organizations, wellness organizations, and social services organizations is critical in evolving what we do. In 2024, we worked with an integrated partnership table to further foster those opportunities and continue to carve out new ways to support tenants. Partners like the NORC Innovation Center within the University Health Network, Baycrest Health, and many others I'm not naming. We have had some critical evolution so far, which again has led to a number of in-community partnerships and events being held. And I'd like to thank all of our partners for the contributions and collaboration so far. I was really thrilled to see such a long list of names to thank in the report. It really signals amazing work by TSHC staff and those partners to broaden our reach. So it's very exciting. Innovation-wise, as we think about our organizational enablers or our strategic directions, I hope that my comments have signaled already some creative and amazing ways that we've been working as an organization to evolve our service delivery model and program, and that work continues. I'm excited personally to share, as I mentioned, some of those best practices I can bring from across the country and share those with the team and with all of you as we think about innovations in social housing and aged care, and we look to create new and innovative partnerships. I think that will be some exciting work for us this year and beyond to continue to innovate as our organization has such an important and strategic mandate. Finally, in terms of our organizational enablers around excellence and employee of choice, we've really focused this year on building our workforce policies, our ERM framework, enhancing training and employee engagement, and of course, acknowledging staff for their amazing work. And as was mentioned by the counselor earlier on, working to continue our work beyond 2024 to create a culture of inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. And as mentioned, that work continues and has a lot of momentum behind it as well. For me, it's been really wonderful to reconnect with familiar faces across the organization, some of those transfers or people who have joined us from TCHC, but also get to know all the other TSHC staff who I haven't met yet. For those who I have been meeting, and it's been a busy couple weeks, I can say confidently, we're an organization, as you all know, of good-hearted, passionate, and committed people. Again, you know this, I just wanted to hit that home that, there's a lot of great work happening at this organization and a lot of wonderful staff. So with
Okay.
that, I could go into a number of other stats, but I will conclude my comments, and through you, Mr. Chair, happy to take any questions that I can answer or my team members here can answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Deanna. Go ahead, Linda.
Thank you. That was great, Deanna, and welcome back in some
Thank
ways.
you.
Just a quick question. It's a beautiful report, both visually and the content, and I think it does actually, weave the story. I wonder how it's going to be disseminated, particularly to those volunteers that you talked about, and tenants in general. But I think actually the volunteers stack and other members to actually, this is actually a good story to share and good marketing as well. So just wondered if you could comment on that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Linda. Good to see you as well. Through you, Mr. Chair. So a couple comments there. As Bill mentioned, we're actively involved in our bi-monthly regional meetings with tenant volunteers. So we actually have begun, we mentioned that the annual report was coming forward today, and that information would be available. And I think that's a great note, Linda, that's something we could circle back with them when we report back on that information, when I talk about volunteers specifically. Other areas and ways it's going to be distributed, we are preparing a 2-page summary document. So to take that big, robust document and also have something that's summary and available to tenants. And we will be noting and advertising that in our bi-monthly newsletter, Senior Speak. So it will also go out to the broader portfolio so they can have access to it as well.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Go ahead, Brenda.
Thank you. Just a question about numbers. Under the section about complex tenancy, I think it's page 97 for me. Yes, okay, so here we are. So it says 257 tenants received individualized support. Is that through the complex tenancy team?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yep. Thank you, Brenda. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Brenda. That's my understanding, is that is the support received through the complex tenancies team.
So that's overall, right?
That's right. That is overall.
And the 150 tenants through the rapid rehousing, we had been quoted over 250 plus at a previous meeting. So how is it 150 here? Or was this a point in time that the report was written and the numbers increased?
Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, yeah, through the chair to Brenda. It is 150 years, so I'm not sure whether previously whether it was cumulative, right? Because we've been doing it since what 2023,
okay.
Right? So, but it is, our commitment right now is 150 a year.
150 a year?
Yes.
So
did I get that right, group, or is it 100? Is either 100 or 150? I said 150 confidently, and then you made me doubt myself. Grant?
Yes, through the chair, 150 is the annual commitment.
Yeah.
And because the program has been going on for a few years, there are more overall if you cumulatively added up.
So how many vacancies do we have per year for Toronto Seniors Housing? And what percentage is devoted to the rapid rehousing initiative?
Through am I? I'll be here. I'll start on this one. So it wasn't recognized, but through the chair to Brenda. So we have roughly 1,000 vacancies a year. Okay, and so we are going to be bringing a report. Brad is producing it right now about kind of why people leave their units,
right?
And then that is balanced with who is admitted, who then receives the unit.
So 100 people is 10%. So over 10% every year is going to go through rapid rehousing. Is that high? Is that appropriate? Is it dislodging other priority aspects? It seems like they've been bumped to the front in terms of priority, and I'm just trying to get a sense of equity and fairness and horizontal equity here. People have been waiting 10 years on a waiting list, and then they get bumped. So can you give me an idea of?
Yes, yeah, through the chair to Brenda. So that that is, just a reminder that with the rapid rehousing, right, that is in agreement with the housing secretariat, right?
Right.
For people in shelters and precarious housing. We've also talked about the disadvantaged DA tenants as well, who come off of the central waiting list. What we keep kind of reinforcing, with this group is these tenants are coming with supports. The rapid rehousing, they come with supports, and we're starting a program with support with the city, where some of the DA disadvantaged tenants come with support. So this is very advantageous, for us and certainly for the tenants, because if we didn't have those supports, they would be coming to the units. And so it really does help us to stabilize the housing for this group.
Well, they wouldn't be coming because they wouldn't have been on the waiting list for 5 to 10 years. So the disadvantaged tenants, what numbers are they a year? Or is the complex tenancy part of the disadvantage? No, they're separate. I think they're counted separately.
Yeah, no, the complex tenancy through the chair, the complex tenancy is our team, is our staff that help to support our tenants, but with complex tenancies, it would be, so that would be some of the disadvantage. And they do have a relationship, links with the rapid rehousing groups as well. So,
but the disadvantaged tenants do not get the city support for 1 year.
Through the board, to Brenda. So they have not. However, we have worked with the city, and we are starting a program where I believe there's at least, I think we're going to start with 10 tenants who do receive supports.
So the disadvantaged tenant is what approximately? I know, sorry to do this to you, but just approximate numbers.
That if anybody else can grab that or knows that. Otherwise, Brenda, I would suggest when we come forward with the who is in the units and leaving the units, we can bring that forward as well.
So my reason for asking these questions is just to get a sense of the extra resources we might need to support the tenants. And I understand a certain percentage of them are getting this support, but it's time limited support. So over time, cumulatively, that 150 1 year, that gets added to the 150 the next year. So now we have 300 people with only half of them getting support. And then factor that in as time goes on, it'll be 300 without support and 150 new ones. So maybe this can come up further discussion elsewhere. But I'm also, in addition to the supports that might be required of our staff and our organization, is this issue of what I call horizontal equity. This is an important principle in social service planning. And, and you don't want to get into comparing oppressed states with another oppressed state. But the issue here is fairness. People have been waiting for years, possibly not getting a unit because someone is bumped them, so to speak. And not to be pejorative in my use of language, but I just want us to be very conscious of this and the fairness issue, and because I can, as I speak, give you 5 names of people that I know who've been on the waiting list and would move tomorrow. Right.
So I think this is an important discussion. We're discussing the annual report now. So what I would suggest,
that's why I said, we can discuss it.
What I would suggest, Brenda, is that staff to take this away and perhaps come back and let's have a more fulsome discussion on that sort of horizontal inequality, quote unquote, that you referred to, and to try and find a way to ensure that we're not disadvantaging people that otherwise would benefit from the services we offer. So
yes, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for doing that. And I look forward to that report because, as you know, I've been on this issue for quite some time, and I will be. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks, Brenda. Thanks, Deanna. We would need to approve this report as well. So I am going to
put the fan
on. Sorry, go ahead, Jim. My apologies.
I'd just like to say, as a member of the board tenant engagement committee, the implementation table, and a member of STAC, that I am really looking forward to working with you, Deanna.
Through the chair, thank you, Jim. I'm really looking forward to working with you as well. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Appreciate it. All right. If there are no other comments, I would need a motion, a mover and a seconder. So be it resolved that the 2024 annual report is approved as presented. Moved by Linda, seconded by Jim. All in favor? That is approved. All right, so we'll now move to item number 12, the TSHC Annual General Meeting and the 2024 Audited Financial Statements. Mr. CEO, over to you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Fareed, and through the chair to the board. The report before the board today is to fulfill Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation's requirements to report to the City of Toronto in support of holding an annual general meeting along with the required materials. The report asks the board to forward the 2024 annual report and 2024 audited financial statements approved earlier in today's board meeting, as well as the executive compensation attachment 1 and the financial impact attachment 2 of this report to City Council to receive and for these considered as part of the TSHC annual general meeting. Usually this report, and I just want to mention, would include a recommendation for the appointment of an auditor for the future audit for 2025. However, the city has asked that we disperse this requirement at this time while the city completes an RFP process to retain external audit services for 2025-2029 fiscal years, from which an auditor for TSHC will be appointed. Subject to board approval today, this report and materials will go forward to the Executive Committee on July 16th and then to City Council on July 23rd to 25th. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tom. Are there any questions on that brief report from Tom? This is an obligation that we have, and we're complying with it. And I think both items have been discussed and thoroughly vetted by the board. So I'm comfortable with us proceeding. There are no other questions. I would need a mover and a seconder. This is a fairly long motion, so if you can bear with me, I'll go through it. So may I ask someone to move that the Board of Directors adopt the following resolutions? One, the board arrange with the City Clerk to call the AGM of the shareholder for Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation during a portion of the City Council meeting at which these recommendations are considered, and recommends that City Council A, receive the board approved Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation 2024 annual report. B, receive the board report Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation 2024 audited financial statements. C, acting as shareholder of the corporation, dispense with the requirement to appoint an auditor for the current financial year during this annual general meeting pursuant to section 149 subsection 2 of the Business Corporations Act. And D, receive the Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation's 2024 executive compensation disclosure form forming attachment 1 to this report. Number 2, the board recommends that the City Council receive the financial impact section regarding known and anticipated financial outlooks and impacts current and future year for Toronto Seniors Housing Corporation, forming attachment 2 to this report. And 3, the board authorizes its Chief Executive Officer on behalf of the board to submit the board's recommendations and materials, identify the recommendations 1 and 2, once approved by the board at its meeting of April 29, 2025, to the City Clerk for consideration by Executive Committee and City Council. So those are the motions before us. May I have a mover and a seconder, please? Don't all put your hands up at once. Moved by Jim, seconded by Brenda. All in favor? That is approved. All right, so we'll now move to item number 13, which is the approval of the closed session agenda. I need a motion. May I ask someone to move that we transfer it into closed session on the TSHC bylaw 1-2021, section 4.19, subsection 1J and 1L. May I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Linda, seconded by Councillor Crisanti. All in favor? That is approved. I'll give Karen a minute or two to take us offline.